Want to buy a used electric Super Mini but want to sit a little bit higher up? This could be the car for you. It's the Peugeot e2008. It's Peugeot's most compact SUV, but it happens to be electric. Inside, it's got some cool features, and outside, well, I think you'll agree it looks pretty striking. But if you are wanting to buy a used e2008, what should you be looking out for? What are the things you need to know? Well, we're going to be finding them out in this video. So what have we got to play with inside the cabin of the e2008? Well, first off, there's a lot of gloss black plastic, I'll say that. It's everywhere, and it shows fingerprints, it shows dust, it makes the car feel a little bit grubbier than it actually is, but it is nice and easy to wipe clean, I suppose you could argue. Elsewhere, we've got some nice little features. I like these toggle buttons down here for features such as the heated windscreen and the internal locking and the air conditioning. And then, of course, we've got Peugeot's i-Cockpit setup, which is this tiny steering wheel and the two main screens ahead of you. I personally don't get on with it too well because of my size. I find that where I want to sit nice and low in the car and have the steering wheel high, I now just can't see anything in terms of the information ahead of me, but it might be different for you. So make sure you have a sit in the car and a fiddle about with the settings. Elsewhere, we've got some reasonably small cup holders down here, a very tiny, odd little cubby down here, but I do like the hidden area for your wireless smartphone charging, which means that if you are leaving the car, although I'd never advise to leave valuables in the car, you can put your smartphone in here, close it up, and it just looks like it's being held behind a piece of trim. That is actually quite cool. The e2008 isn't an overly large car, but the space in the rear is actually pretty decent. The only thing is that it's because the 2008 is also sold as a petrol car, you still get a transmission tunnel, which is a bit of a pain when you're trying to get three abreast in the back here. I think it's going to be pretty close. Then you have got a 434 litre boot, which is the same as the one you'd get in the petrol car. And that's actually pretty competitive. It's larger than many of the e2008's rivals. And it turns this car from quite a compact one into a very practical one. I also like the fact you've got a nice panoramic glass sunroof on this model, which helps to make the car feel even lighter inside. The Peugeot e2008 is the kind of car for people who can't decide whether they want a Super Mini or a crossover SUV. It is in fact based on the same platform as the very compact e208, just lifted up and kind of extended ever so slightly. Now, there aren't too many battery choices with the e2008, there's just one in fact, and that's bringing a claimed range when new of just over 200 miles, so it certainly is on the shorter end of the spectrum. I've got just shy of a full charge, I'd say something around 85%, and it is showing 164 miles of range, which isn't bad at all, but then it is a very warm day. So I'd take into account a range of around 150 miles in real world and in lower temperatures. That's fine for if you're driving around town, and let's be honest, this car is small, so it is kind of designed to be used in urban environments and around town. It's got very nippy handling and it's nice and easy to pilot because it is quite small. One thing I would say about the e2008 though, as I would say about most Peugeots of this generation, is the i-Cockpit setup. Now, what i-Cockpit is designed to do is to give a slightly sportier feel through a smaller steering wheel and this digital dash ahead of me. The problem is, it's very personal. So what I mean by that is that I'm all legs pretty much, and wherever I sit, and I usually like to sit very low in the car, if I get the seating position to my proper seating position, I have the steering wheel where I'd like it, I actually can't see the dials anymore. I can't see the steering, I can't see my speed, I can't see my range, I can't really see any of the readout. Now, what Peugeot would like you to do now is to lower the steering wheel in order to see the dials and the information ahead of you, but I've always thought that doesn't seem entirely the right way around, because I don't want to drive like I'm driving a forklift truck in order to be able to see the information ahead of me. So make sure that you have a drive in the e2008 yourself to make sure that this system is right for you, because it is a very personal thing. You might be able to get on board with the new type of Peugeot styling and driving experience, but for me it's just always felt a little bit unnatural. However, the rest of the experience is good, and as with most French cars of this type, the ride quality is really nice. It doesn't thud through potholes and it rides out those imperfections really nicely. The one thing I will say is that the brakes are quite spongy, so you're not getting an awful lot of bite off the top of the pedal, and that's not a fault of this used version. They're all pretty much like that, to be honest with you. Again, like most electric cars, with its reasonably sized battery, you're looking at a full charge overnight via a home wall box. So this isn't going to be a very costly car to run whatsoever, but you're just going to have to bear in mind some of the little drawbacks, namely that range, which is just under slightly what you'd expect in the market. I think that the Peugeot e2008 could slot in nicely as a second car or as an EV to reduce your costs for those local journeys day to day. Its small range means that it's not going to suit people who want to do bigger journeys, and I think that it's just quite compact overall, so it really does fit better into that more day-to-day environment. Having said that, it's got a really well-sized boot, and there's a decent amount of space in the back. The good news is that these are really competitively priced on the used market, and you'll find plenty of them to check out on Cazoo today.